The country's fiscal deficit has widened, but a revenue uptick continues. The opposition leader responds to being forced out of Parliament on Wednesday, and COVID-19 cases continue to increase. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jcn. It's Thursday, May 6th. Thanks for staying with us. The country's fiscal deficit in the 9 months ending March of this year widened 245.9%. This compared to how the figures stacked up this same period last fiscal year. The figures are widening from $251.3 million to a whopping $878.2 million, according to the Ministry of Finance in its combined 9 months fiscal snapshot and report. Leah Cooper has more.
According to the Ministry of Finance's combined 9 months fiscal snapshot and report, the widening of the fiscal deficit is largely attributed to the impact of the pandemic and related measures, which significantly curtailed revenue receipts and necessitated extraordinary increases in expenditure to support various social assistance programs. It also notes that the continued relaxation of COVID-19 restrictive measures during the third quarter and the restart of the tourism sector have improved Bahamian economic activity, resulting in a firming of revenue collection in the third quarter. Compared with the figures this same period in the last fiscal year, however, total revenue declined by an estimated $527.4 million. That's 30% to $1,229.7 million, or 70% of last year's collection, and 69.8% of the budget. The improved revenue outturn was largely driven by increases in collection of value-added tax, excise taxes, license to conduct special business activity, business license and communication levies, customs, and other import duties and immigration fees. Aggregate expenditure increased by $99.5 million. That's 5% compared to $2,107.9 million, which was boosted by significant increases in social assistance benefits in the amount of $145 million, finance charges, which were $43.5 million, public debt interest, which was $21.8 million, and subsidies at $19.2 million. However, these upturns were dampened by reductions in outlays for compensation for employees at $61 million, supplies and materials at $11.5 million, and services at $10 million. According to the report, taxes on goods and services accounting for 72.2% of the total government tax revenue contracted by $402.2 million, or 35%, and represents 70.2% of the budget target. The government also saw gaming taxes contracted by $14.4 million, or 46.7%, to $16.4 million. It says the proceeds from the patrons winning tax implemented on January 1st this year have not resulted in improved revenues due to a legal challenge by the Association of Gaming House Operators in respect to the application of the tax. Reporting for Jcn News, I'm Leah Cooper.
Meantime, revenue uptick continues as the economy of the Bahamas slowly opens. Minister of State for Finance, Senator Kwesi Thompson, says there's emerging signs of recovery in fiscal performance despite the persistence of the COVID-19 crisis. In a statement, Senator Thompson says we are seeing moderate signs of economic recovery as we are able to stabilize the public health crisis. The third quarter fiscal results provide optimism for the future, adding that officials are pleased to see economic activity return as the domestic economy and export sector open up more and more. Now, while the third quarter fiscal results confirmed that the Bahamian economy, although still below pre-crisis performance, is steadily progressing along the path of recovery. The positive impact of the gradual relaxation of health and safety restrictions on domestic businesses was evidenced in improved revenue receipts, with aggregate revenue collection through the 9 months review period positioning at nearly 70% of the annual budget. Senator Thompson contends that it is important for Bahamians and residents to stay disciplined and vigilant and for the vaccine rollout to continue in earnest to allow for the ongoing relaxation of restrictions. The government's real property tax forgiveness program has produced positive results and helped to contribute an $11 million year-on-year increase in real property tax collections, which is significant. Consistent with the signs of recovery in economic activity, value-added tax receipts budgeted at a dominant 44% of tax revenue strengthened to $183.4 million in the third quarter from $151.7 million in the second quarter and $134.7 million in the opening quarter of the fiscal year 2020-2021. Opposition leader Philip Davis was kicked out of the afternoon session of House of Assembly proceedings on Wednesday, and he is calling it a despicable act. Yesterday, Deputy Speaker of the House Don Saunders named and ordered the Sergeant of Arms to remove Mr. Davis from the House of Assembly. Jcn's news team reached out to Mr. Davis for comments on the incident, and he says he was only trying to express his views on the matter at hand. You see, Mr. Davis was attempting to intervene as Member of Parliament for Engliston, Glenys Hannah Martin, attempted to proceed on a point of order, claiming that Minister of Tourism and Aviation Dionisio de Aguilar made misleading comments during his contribution. Well, Mr. Davis says he chalks it up to Mr. Saunders wanting to audition to be the next Speaker of the House, adding that it also may have been an act to undermine the present Speaker.
Because as to like to talk about, and he's looking for the Speaker's job, and you want to let the bosses know that I can handle it. But I think the people saw what happened, and to silence the opposition has been silencing opposition has been the mantra of this government.
Mr. Davis adds that the government doesn't want any opposing voices, even if it may be constructive. Jcn's news team also reached out to Engliston MP Glenys Hannah Martin and asked what message these events send to the Bahamian people. She says this.
I think that the Bahamian people are a highly intelligent population who have a great deal of concern for this country, particularly in light of the state of this economy and the level of suffering in this country, and the fact that $3 billion has been borrowed and we can't see it. And there's no real tangible explanation as to where this huge indebtedness of the Bahamian people, where it is leading us. So I think that they are watching and they understand exactly what's happening. They understand exactly they're seeing a government which seems to be approaching going to the polls and exhibiting a level of desperation.
We also reached out to Deputy Speaker Saunders, who insists he was reasonable in his ruling, adding that for every action, there's a reaction.
Mr. Davis he's a senior member of Parliament. He knows the rules of the House. I had beckoned to him on several occasions to cease and desist and to sit down. But once the chair, he knows the rules. If the chair is speaking, he was supposed to desist. Mr. Davis continued in defiance to the chair. I thought I was more than lenient. I called the Sergeant at Arms in as a warning, and he kind of like threw it in my face, and I had to respond. When I go back to Parliament, I'll probably make a statement as regards to his behavior and that of Engliston. But Mr. Davis is well aware of the rules of the House, and I don't think that I did anything inappropriately. I don't think what I did was despicable, and I am not at all auditioning for any speakership in the next term. I'm happy to know that he is confident to know that I would be winning my seat in Tall Pines, but that's the decision for all of the members of the House to decide who will be the next speaker. In fact, I never even envisioned myself as being Speaker the next term.
Parliamentarians met on Wednesday to debate the Securities Industry Amendment Bill 2021 and the Insurance Management Bill 2021. These were debated as a compendium. Well, during debate on the compendium of bills, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis took a moment to address a number of initiatives he's excited about, including looking forward to receiving his second jab of COVID-19 vaccine in short order and the plans for a new airport on Exuma. The PM took the first shot of the COVID-19 vaccine on March 14th, and he's encouraging the public to do likewise. He reminded that we are still in a pandemic and should continue to follow the emergency orders protocols in place. Dr. Minnis touted the fact that the Family Islands vaccination program is going smoothly, especially in Exuma. That said, he's looking forward to traveling to the island on Friday, where he will visit a number of projects in the works, including a groundbreaking ceremony for the new airport to begin construction. The Prime Minister will also tour the site where the government plans to build a new township and its accompanying access road. According to Dr. Minnis, the government is positioning the island of Exuma to play a bigger role as the economy of the Bahamas expands.
But, Mr. Speaker, that will all be addressed tomorrow on Friday. And there'll be lots of great news for Exuma as we build Exuma to become take the rightful place that they deserve as they continue to expand the economy of the Bahamas and as we continue to expand that great island.
While on Exuma, the Prime Minister also plans to tour the new health facility to determine how they would move forward with the introduction of telemedicine on the island. JCN's news team will travel with the Prime Minister and will keep you updated. In our national COVID-19 update, a total of 109 new cases of COVID-19 confirmed by health officials between Tuesday, May 4th and Wednesday, May 5th. 57 cases were reported on Tuesday and 52 on Wednesday. Of the total number, 96 were confirmed on New Providence, 3 on Grand Bahama and the Berry Islands each, 2 on Long Island, and 1 case each on Abaco, Exuma, and Andros. There are 2 with locations pending. At least 1 new case on New Providence has a history of travel within 14 days. Total cases in country now at 10,711. 695 cases are active, 52 in hospital, 5 in the intensive care unit. A total of 82 cases were recovered over the last 2 days, pushing that total to 9,733. 89,404 tests have been completed to date. The national death toll stands at 211. You're watching JCN News. When we return, health officials addressing a false message circulating social media, PAHO continuing their warning on the COVID-19 pandemic, and a 21-year-old charged with murder. Stay with us.